Hi everybody, I'm John. Welcome to the Wednesday night meeting at St. Matthias, meeting of LifeRing. Particularly a welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. Is there anyone for the first time?
I am.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Thank you.
Now we have a number of brochures, one of which is the list of meetings. We also have the PAL brochures and cards for people to exchange information. And we also have two books, Recovery by Choice Workbook and Empowering Your Sober Self, which costs $30 and $25 respectively. We also have memberships, which are $20 for people to become more active and supportive of LifeRing. You don't need to be a member to attend the meetings, but it's certainly a big help. And with that membership, you get half off the purchase price of the Recovery by Choice Workbook. So, first of all, please silence electronic devices. If you have used today, we encourage you to stay and check in, but ask that you not participate in the topic discussion of the meeting. We would be happy to connect after the meeting. Confidentiality is very important at LifeRing, so please, nothing leaves this room. Are there any announcements from the floor? I have one announcement, and that is that the AGM for LifeRing Canada is set for Tuesday, the 20th of May.
What's AGM?
The annual general meeting. And that will be at 7:15 at Fernwood Community Center.
Do you want to know about activities that are happening in the community, like sober floor hockey and baseball?
Yes, if you have information on that.
Sunday at 12 noon at Crystal Pool. In the back there's baseball at 12 o'clock every Sunday, and every Wednesday at Perks Arena there's sober floor hockey, and I think they're going to move it outside to be street hockey for the summer.
Good, thank you, Suzanne. Good. Volunteer work within LifeRing. LifeRing offers huge personal rewards to you and, of course, greatly benefits others. Please help us grow LifeRing by assisting us in running groups or by offering any other skills that would assist us. See me afterward or go to the website for volunteer opportunities, and that's www.liferingcanada.org. Who would like to read the opening statement?
I will, seeing as it's in front of me.
Good, thank you. Michelle?
LifeRing welcomes all people struggling with substance use and addiction, as well as those in relationships with them. We do not support or condone using or moderation approaches. In order to recover, we have to make sobriety the top priority in our lives. By sobriety, we mean 100% abstinence. LifeRing meetings include persons of all faiths and none. We support scientifically based recovery meetings or methods that rely on human effort, and we do not use prayer or discuss theology, pro or con. What is important is that each person takes responsibility for their own recovery and is available to give support to others. Our meeting format is flexible. We begin the meeting with the question, how was your week? We then talk about successes and challenges of the past week and anything that might be coming up next week. We discuss recovery topics and encourage dialogue, questions, and supportive feedback. LifeRing believes that successful recovery is achievable through one's own motivation and initiative. In our meetings, there is a diversity of approaches to sober living. It is up to each person to decide what does and does not work for them. The main purpose of the group is to reinforce each other's choices to stay clean and sober. LifeRing is an ongoing workshop where individuals build their own recovery plan. If this is your first time at this meet of LifeRing, welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
At LifeRing meetings, we try to use I statements, meaning we own what we say. We don't glamorize our past, so please no war stories or drunkalogs. Please use the term DOC instead of your specific drug by name to avoid triggering other attendees. Please respect everyone who participates. Limit your time so that everyone has a chance to share. What works for some may not work for others. We don't criticize other recovery methods. If you would like feedback on something, please ask for it. If you are offering feedback, please ask before offering. And LifeRing encourages the use of PALs, peers actively lending support. Make a connection and exchange contact details. PALs brochures and cards are available to exchange numbers. So we start the meeting with how was your week? It's a brief check-in, as Michelle just mentioned. Introduce yourselves and tell us about your last week or few days, along with any successes or challenges. Who would like to start off?
I'll start. My name's Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Well, last week's been pretty good. As the summer is rolling upon us here, I'm a lot busier at work. Yeah, so I'm not home as much, and that's fine for me. I don't mind working the extra money, but my partner doesn't like that. She says it reminds me of when I was using, because I would always disappear and be gone on the weekends and that sort of thing. So trying to find some kind of comfortable balance in my family life and my work life. And no great struggles right now. I did get triggered on the weekend because I was downtown and there was a bunch of young people, which I'm not anymore, but they were looking like they were having some fun and going from club to club, and I kind of thought, well, that'd be fun to do that, dress up and go out dancing, and I had to give my head a quick shake, realize that doesn't usually end up fun and dancing for me. So anyway, that's it. And the next week coming up, I don't suspect there'll be any great problems coming up, but if I don't keep going to these meetings, I know that my old behaviors and thinking can easily sneak back up on me. So I'm just grateful to be here today. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thanks,
Mark.
Mark.
That's fine.
Sure, my name is Susanna Joy.
Hi, Suzanne. Joy.
My week's going pretty good. There's been some big changes in my life. I'm letting go of old stuff and moving forward and trying to figure out what direction I want to go. So I'm feeling a little confused, but coming to the meetings and processing and talking to people is really helping. My job situation has changed, my home situation, my family situation. It feels like beginning recovery, the same kind of feelings of change and confusion. But I'm making good choices. I'm making healthy choices for myself. Instead of getting up and going to work, I'm getting up and going to the gym or for a bicycle ride, that kind of thing. Or actually, I started harp lessons on Thursday, and I start ukulele lessons the following Saturday with my daughter-in-law. So there's positive things happening and there's challenging things happening. And one of the challenging things that's happening is I have some friends and family members that are still actively using, and they keep calling me. So I'd like to bring that forward to the group as to, I care about them a lot, but they're calling me when they're using and saying, oh, how do you do it? How do you do it? I want sobriety like you. But they're not willing to say, I don't want that anymore, to make the changes. And it's just really hard, especially when it's someone that I really care about. So thank you all.
Thank you, Suzanne. Joy.
I'm Hendrika,
Thank you, Henrika.
and I had a really good week. I had a busy weekend actually, and just like Mark, some triggers were there, which made me feel a little bit left out. But I recently joined the miniature club, making those little furniture things and doll houses, and we had a workshop. So, long story short, we had it in Chemainus, where it's a lady who's a member of the club, and she also has a B&B. So we all got to the B&B, and that's where we worked and stayed. But of course, Friday night, I was a nice wine and cheese party. So, didn't like it. But other than that, it was great. And working with miniatures, I tell you, what a fun is that. then Sunday, I had a LifeRing table to represent LifeRing at awareness walk for addiction, and that was at the same time to remember all the people who had died of overdoses in the last year, which is every time quite a few actually. So a short walk. It was raining all day, so the event was indoors, but during the walk there was no rain, so that was a good thing. And another good thing is that proceeds of that event are going to LifeRing. So that's why I was there with the table. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Enrica.
Enrica.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
Hi,
Hi,
Michelle.
Michelle.
And, yeah, it's been, this week there's been a lot of changes, searching for employment and things like that. And somebody cracked into my car and, yeah, I haven't never been to LifeRing before, but I've been to other recovery-based meetings before. And I think I really like this process. I've just learned that my alcohol and drug counselor will be away for about a month. So I want to reconnect with other counselors, because last year when that happened for me, I didn't have a backup. So that's definitely something I want to do this time around. Reconnect with another counselor at Quadra Street Clinic. Yeah, I think that's really about all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Is that what those Palace cards are?
Yeah, I don't know what you have, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm John.
Hi, John.
I've had a very good week. I had the pleasure of being with Hendrika at Sydney last Sunday, and afterward I spent about 3 hours with a family friend whose son was having trouble. I don't know if you've ever been through that, but that is about the most exhausting thing you can go through. Sitting there listening to the denial by the child and the anger and frustration of the parents, and you really don't have much power. You know, you just, I guess I was supposed to be there to help out, but it didn't feel very helpful. It was frustrating, but an agreement was reached. That was a good thing, and that was a lot of work. I really learned to appreciate what drug counselors do after that experience. That just about wore me out. I had to go home and have a nap after that. So things are going really well for me, and I'll hand it over to you, Gary.
Thanks,
Hi.
John.
Thanks, John. Hi, I'm Gary.
Hi,
Hi,
Gary.
Gary.
Had a really challenging week this week. I switched jobs. I'm doing the same work, but for a different company, and the first month went by really well. Well, this week was a little different story. I say, when you start a new job, you're in a honeymoon for a while, and then when the honeymoon's over, reality sets in. They were quite busy on the Monday, and I got assigned 4 trips, which my day started at 7 in the morning and didn't end till 11 o'clock at night, and I had to go to work and back 3 times. So I wasn't happy about that, and we managed to talk things out and get things settled. But in the same time, my last pay period I worked quite a bit, and I claimed all my money, and now I found out that my subsidy is going to get deducted to $400 that I overworked. So that wasn't good. I mean, basically I worked for a week and a half for nothing. And then I'm having a lot of challenges with my mom, where I was there the other day, and I just felt like I was a little boy being scolded. And this has been going on for a long time. And my thoughts weren't very pleasant and almost scary. How I felt towards her, like I kind of wish she wasn't around anymore. I could use some feedback on that. You know, I would never do her any harm, but just to think those thoughts were disturbing to me, and I might need some help with that. But, anyway, I put the boundaries up at work. We all reached an agreement where I'm now only going to work my hours, so that this doesn't happen with my subsidies anymore. So I went from having a bad day to having a pretty good day today. So thanks for listening.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Gary.
Gary.
So the next section is a topic discussion, and it's usually based on the points that were brought up at the checking in. How was your week? And a number of people expressed frustration and changes in their life. And one person talked about friends and family contacting her about, well, these were people who were still using, who are bothering her to ask her different things, and want some feedback on that. And of course, one person would like some feedback on the strong feelings toward his mother over probably
My lifetime.
the criticism that he's receiving. So some very good topics. Who would like to start off the topics discussion?
I'll go.
Okay, Mark?
I can give Susanna Joy some feedback. Well, I'm not necessarily, I mean, I don't give advice, but in my experience, when friends that were using would call me, and especially when they were under the influence of substances, I would always say that I prefer to talk to them when they were clean and sober, or at least, not on the substance or inebriated at the time. I always found it difficult. I can't relate to how they are, and I find it very frustrating. And most of the time, usually those calls only come at 3 o'clock in the morning when they are, at the lowest point, and the next day they feel better and they don't ever call back. So that's what I've done, and I mean, I think if we keep living our lives the way we are, as I know you are, we will sort of, I don't want to say lead, but we will show by example how life can be happier without all that chaos and that comes around substance abuse. And so that's what I found that I do. I mean, I don't directly take them on head on, or I don't answer the phone if I'm asleep. That's another one.
Thank you.
I've done the same. I have a good friend and he was the same, and I just found when you're under the influence, I'm not going to talk, and I almost hang up right away, and then he keeps on calling back, so I unplug the phone. Simple like that. And they know how to reach me. If they really need help, he knows how to reach me, but he has to be sober. It took a while, and it's finally making sense, I guess, because I don't get those calls anymore. But it's hard to see them struggling. It's not easy, but I had to do that.
Sounds like boundary setting for myself,
Yeah.
not the other person. And I think that when it's a friend, yes, I still care.
Yeah.
When it's one of my children, that's a really tough one, because he's an adult and he has to grow up and learn his own lessons, and nobody could come along and tell me I had to do this or I had to do that. I made the choice, and once I made the choice to follow this path, then, like you say, I'm setting by example. But I guess I have a wish that it would be different, right?
Yeah.
But
And sometimes it hurts.
yeah.
Well, I believe the closing statement says it all. You don't have to change everything, just almost everything. And that almost everything includes your old using buddies and family members who like to come to your house because the stuff they were looking for was there, or you would play together. And I've had to do that and just say, I'm not interested in getting with you anymore, because I know exactly what that person's got on his or her mind, and there's not a bit of it that's healthy for my program. So, sorry, and it hurts. I mean, some of these are pretty good friends, but they're bad for my program, so they're out.
I wound up moving out of the province, just to get away from that environment.
Welcome, Michelle, to LifeRing.
Thank you. If I could comment on that as well, I think that, I know that for myself, when I did set some boundaries, new doors opened for myself. I mean, of course, we can't get rid of family members, but new relationships with other people that are like-minded, they come forward and they present themselves to us.
I really appreciate the feedback because it is helping me process and come to some kind of, not conclusion, but decision making for myself. When you said that, it made me think about how my daughter-in-law wants to be with me and spend time taking these ukulele lessons together. Whereas this other child is only coming to me if he needs something. And I'm saying no, and that's not what he's used to, and so he's becomes mean about it. And that's where I just have to say I'm not okay with this kind of behavior. It's turning around where he's saying I'm the bad person, but I know that's not true. Right? So, yeah, I do appreciate the feedback. Thank you very much. I'm picking little things out of it that I think I can have in my head to help me through this. Thank you. If I may comment on the feelings about a parent, my mother passed away from her addiction. So I had feelings of, and I even spoke to her and said, you know, I was blunt enough to say, if you don't stop, you'll die, right? And she did. But when it comes to controlling or criticizing parent or boss or anybody else, I'm doing the same thing, setting boundaries. I can have a fantasy in my head of what I wish, but I would never carry through, like you say. But it's part of the boundary setting of what I'm not okay with, and trying to teach other people how to treat me. So I can relate to feeling angst about the way someone's treating me, and then I come to the decision of what do I say is okay and not okay, whether it's family or not.
Yeah, I think with my mom, it's like we have conversations. She likes to talk, but I don't know if she knows how to listen, or she's getting very forgetful. Because what really triggered the argument yesterday was she asked me the same question 3 times in a matter of 3 minutes, and then the third time I says, "Come on, Mom, I just answered that question." She got very upset with me. So I have to try to figure out or make it clear when I'm talking to her that, well, you have to look at me, listen. I think it's more so that she's off, you know, like Homer Simpson, he's thinking about something else while somebody's talking to him. He'd make it in light anyway. So I gotta figure out myself what it is. I mean, I love her dearly, but sometimes I wish I didn't have to deal with her.
Has she always been like that, or is that late? Oh,
Yeah, it's been that way. About 20 years ago, I had the conversation with my brother that when you're talking to her, if she's not listening, and he goes, "I feel the exact same way."
yeah.
My grandmother used to phone me and ask how things were going, and I would say, oh, this child's doing that, or that child's doing that. And she always said, "That's nice, dear," after every time. Well, one time I wanted to see if she was listening, and I told her my dog died, and she said, "That's nice, dear." I didn't have a dog.
No, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we can't, I found it in also that when, especially when you're dealing with elderly people, family members, especially, that more than likely we're not gonna change how they are. And, so I think like Susanna Joy said, we could set up boundaries, and they a good chance that they may not even respect those boundaries. But then I guess if you feel like you're getting worked up, or you feel like you're thinking bad thoughts, then you might have to excuse yourself for a bit to cool down and take a time out. Even as adults, we have to take time out sometimes, I think.
Well,
I know I do.
that's something with the boundaries. I'm gonna say, if it continues that, I'm being scolded like a little boy, I'm just not gonna come here as often though. And we'll make it a couple times a week instead of 5 times a week. I know she likes me coming over all the time. I gotta work on some boundaries that,
Yeah.
what will work and not offend her.
My dad's 81 and he's listened to me when I said I'm not okay with that kind of talk or behavior. And he has actually called me and said, can you come and visit? And when I was there, said, I won't behave like that. Right? 81, making change.
Yeah, I think she was much different today. I just popped in for a minute. Maybe she was just having a bad day. She likes to take it out on me. I'll have to develop a thicker skin.
Yeah.
I would, after the third question, I would just say, I answered that question already
That's what I
twice.
did, and I got very,
And change just change the subject.
she got very upset with me that I mentioned that. I
Yeah.
just answered that for the third time.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Well, I find it's different with mothers and grandmothers than it is with fathers and grandfathers or uncles. My mother-in-law has absolute opinions and really isn't interested at all in my input. And it's like Susanna Joy said, I can tell her something and she'll say that's nice, and it can be, World War III is starting, and she's not paying any attention whatsoever. She's just waiting for an opportunity to say her piece.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna try that trick, thank you.
And then the other alternative I found is just don't spend that much time with them. I think you're right. Just save your sanity. By not spending that much time with someone who isn't really interested in what you're doing.
Thank you.
I check in on my father, he's 81 as well, and I just check in on him a couple times a week, phone him a few more times a week, and we have a great relationship because our visits are very short and sweet. He's set in his ways, I'm set in my ways. I ask if he needs anything, I know he's going to say no, and I hang out and have a coffee with him and I go. And one day I know though he's going to need that help, so I still have to make sure that I'm available. And that's something else that I want to bring up quick is that, I'm 45 years old, my dad's 81, and he's watched me since I was 13 years old, up until the last year, abusing substances and I really acting like a child. So occasionally when I'm treated like a child, I'm not saying it's okay, and it doesn't, in my situation, I can understand where that comes from, right? Because I've acted like a child, I've always been there asking for money, or something, to feed my addiction or to make sure my rent was paid or something. And most people when they're 40s don't have to do that. And so I mean, it doesn't make it right, but I can understand sometimes where the thought process after all those years of me abusing substances and being always there looking for something, where that comes from in my family.
Thank you, Mark.
I can give myself feedback. Because thinking about it for that Friday night, it's silly. I should have brought my own drink. I should have what I always call my party drink, a little bit of apple juice and some tonic water, and I would have been fine.
Planning
And
ahead, yeah. I was
And I
going,
didn't think of it, and just when I checked in, I thought, that's silly, that's what I should have done. I never thought about it when I left home.
I'm going to pass the donation basket. LifeRing relies on personal contributions to pay for room rentals, telephone, printing, and administrative costs to keep meetings running. So give as much as you can.
For once, I forgot my wallet. My wallet is empty.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'll make it up next time.
Double it next time. Michelle, one thing I just wanted to say, as a new person here, you're surrounded by people who have all different levels of experience in the program, not only LifeRing, but dealing with Quadra Street office and different services that are available. I would suggest to you strongly that you take advantage of their experience by talking with them, getting their phone numbers, and finding out all you can about the different programs and about LifeRing.
I appreciate that, thank you.
This city has a lot of resources for recovery. It's amazing.
Who would like to read the closing statement?
I would, thank you.
And with my phone number.
LifeRing closing statement. Recovery does not happen simply when substance use stops. Recovery is achieved by creating a new life, where using is no longer an acceptable choice. Otherwise, the factors that led to substance use and addiction will eventually resurface. You don't have to change everything in your life, just almost everything. Old habits, behaviors, and associations will continue to bring trouble unless you let them go. The more you try to hold on to the old way, the harder your recovery will be. Many of us have drifted through our lives without having to think about who we are or what we want to be. Substance use and addiction changes that. It forces us to wake up. You have an opportunity to make changes that are both difficult and rewarding. Take advantage of this opportunity and use it to fundamentally improve your life. Don't just stop using. People in recovery often describe themselves as grateful. Why would someone be grateful in recovery? Because they realize that the journey of change has helped them find out who this amazing person really is and what a more peaceful existence is all about. LifeRing can help you achieve meaningful sobriety and enhance quality of life by empowering your sober self.
Thank you, Susanna Joy. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the meeting. Good meeting.